You know, there are certain phrases you can really only say while wearing a smoking jacket. Phrase number 1. I too was conceived in a vineyard. Phrase number 2. You will find me knowledgeable about rare coins. Mainly because I invented them. Phrase number 3, the third and final phrase, you can really only say while wearing a smoking jacket. Check out the smoking jacket. I was filling out an online personal recently. The first question I had to respond to, have you ever had a talk show moment in real life? I responded with the truth. I said, yes, I have. 2 months ago, I assisted in the birthing of a baby moose in the stall of a Burger King bathroom. I look up, there's Mari Povich. I said, Mari, what do we do? He said, don't worry. We'll find the father. I was at the DMV filling out paperwork that required me to choose my eye color from a list. I hate that because I have a rare eye color. It's never there. I always have to write in cathedral at dawn. I think it's time to enter the high adrenaline part of my set. Like most people moving to New York City, of which I did, I had to find a realtor to help me out. I sat down with my realtor. I said, get me into an apartment that exudes beauty and simplicity. My realtor hawk-eyed my budget and said, how about I get you into an apartment that exudes walls and a ceiling? I said, fine, I can compromise on the apartment. Just get me into a neighborhood that says I mean business. He said, that neighborhood is called the Bronx. And that would be the gang warfare, death on the streets, sadness business. Eventually, I did move in with a comedian friend of mine. The walls separating our rooms paper thin. I took him aside. I said, listen, if you bring a lady friend home, don't feel embarrassed about making the sounds of passion. I'll just blast my stereo, go crazy. Eventually, he did bring a lady friend home. The next morning, he walks out into the kitchen. The girl's nowhere to be found. He said, David, next time, blast anything but Patrick Stewart narrating The Grapes of Wrath. A couple weeks later, the same thing happened. He walks out of his room. Girl's nowhere to be found. He said, David, dance remixes of Patrick Stewart narrating The Grapes of Wrath. Still Patrick Stewart narrating The Grapes of Wrath. I said, I know, I blasted that last night because I had a girl in my room. I just learned recently that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban just named their newborn baby daughter Sunday Rose. Beautiful. It reminded me that years ago, John Cougar Mellencamp named his newborn son Speck Wildhorse. Which reminded me that years before that, Sylvester Stallone named his newborn son Sage Moonblood Stallone. Which means for the last several decades, celebrities have been naming their babies in accordance to one question. What would a run-of-the-mill name be? For a vampire hunter. Enrolled at Hogwarts. Now, their wealth assures that these exotically named babies go to the same kinds of schools and ultimately end up in the same kinds of classes. What's roll call going to be like for that poor teacher? Let's find out using the majesty of theater. Okay, class, please have a seat. I'm going to go ahead and call roll. Class, I apologize once again. I have confused the attendance list for a list of spells from Final Fantasy XIII. At least I think I have. Certainly no one here is actually named Shadow Strike. It must be problematic to have a roll call that inadvertently opens a rift to Middle-earth. Now, I think it's only a matter of time before celebrities realize that names are not enough to reach the elite beauty that is their newborn. I think it's only a matter of time before roll call looks like this. Okay, class, please have a seat. I'm going to call roll. John? Susan? The abstract beauty represented by this impressionistic oil on canvas? I just got one more quick story for you guys. Another very important social trend. High school grads are taking what's called a gap year. A gap year is a year off before college for personal growth and world exposure. NPR did a spot on it. I listened to one student reveal his up-and-coming gap year schedule. Field research, Tibetan mountains. Martial arts, Tiananmen Square. Scuba diving, South America. That is an awesome gap year. Now, using the majesty of theater, let's find out what a gap year is like when your father does not own Starbucks. Hey, Dad, I've got big plans for my gap year. I'm thinking rehabilitating wild penguins, South Africa. Well, I've got big plans for your gap year too, honey. It's called working at Gap for a year. Newsflash, I'm a crane operator. Now go help Grandma, she dropped her arm again. 1 second, I'm going for a beer. Remember, if your mother calls, tell her she'll see a check when I see the limo tinting she stole off my heavily customized Hyundai Accent. Tango, dance art form that takes years to master, or just extremely confident walking? Hey guys, I'm David, thank you so much. Thank you.